What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hey my friends, I am Henrik Kuto, your host and narrator, and welcome back for another installment of Halloween spooky feelings. A little bit of chills to meet you in the summer months. It's Weekly Spooky, and I am thrilled to be here with you. We have our 40th episode today. I feel amazing knowing that. I feel amazing knowing that when we get to October, we're going to hit a year's worth of Weekly Spookies. And I just want to say thank you. You guys have been awesome. You've been listening more and more and more every week. You guys have been joining up with the Patreon and showing us that you want more spooky. And I couldn't be happier. This is a dream come true. No matter how busy I am, no matter how much I have on my plate, I look forward every Wednesday to recording an episode of Weekly Spooky, and I have discovered some incredible authors along the way, and not all of them were that surprising, necessarily. Not all of them were strangers. In fact, tonight's story is written by Rob Fields, and Rob is a good friend of mine, and I've known Rob for a really long time, more than 10 years. He's a clever guy, he's a sweet person, but man, are his stories weird and messed up, and tonight is most certainly no exception. So please, get yourself ready. This is a good, character-thick installment of Rob Fields' twisted mind, his twisted world of fiction, and we're headed straight for it. So enjoy, and I'll be back afterward to talk at you a little bit more. But here comes the story.
The Hook by Rob Fields.
How many times have I been asked this question? How many times have I been asked, why, Farley? Why'd you do it? Police, reporters, head shrinkers, and even the guards here at Grafton Prison. They all ask me the same question. And every time, I give them the same answer. Because I could. Have you figured it out yet? I'm a murderer. That's right, a murderer. I've been killing people since I got out of high school. It all started 20 years ago with my high school sweetheart. We were supposed to get married. Problem was, she liked to keep nagging and nagging on. One day, she got drunk off her ass, came to my back door and started picking at me. Could have just closed the door on her, but I decided I really didn't have to just take her shit. I was a man and she was just a panty dropper. So I came out and picked up the axe. Her head sure sailed quite a ways before it came to land at the back door. You know what? It felt mighty good. So I've been targeting bitches for many years after that. One right after another. I had such a good time chopping and hacking them up. Bitches ain't nothing but leeches. All they do is take and take and take from you. Way I saw it, I was doing their fellas a tremendous favor. Of course, I wasn't going to get away with it forever. You probably knew that already, right? One day, I was killing this panty dropper in her nice home, and next thing I know, her fella comes in. Turned out to be a pig. Instead of trying to arrest me, he lost his head and came at me. The two of us had a big old fight. Guess the pig fella really loved his bitch because he eventually got hold of the axe I used to chop her up with and, he cut off my freaking hand as I was pushing myself off the dresser. That was the last thing I remembered before I woke up in jail a few days after the incident. I now had a neatly bandaged stump where my hand used to be, probably from when I was rushed to the hospital. A few weeks later, I'm in Grafton Prison. Yeah, there was no question of my guilt, especially when I told the bitch judge I'd come for her once I got out of here. There are even a few bitches here as guards. 2 of them work on my block. They can never help but just look at me. And every now and then, they still ask me, "Why, Farley? Why did you do it?" Because I could, I tell them again and again. So every day I just sit here in my cell. They don't put nobody in here with me. Let's just say I ended up killing my last 2 cellmates. Even with one hand, I could still get the job done. Teeth can work just as well as a hand when you're tearing their throats out, especially when they get stupid and fall asleep. I just sit in my cell and work out my escape plan. Then, after all these years, I get some rather interesting news. Turns out, I'm getting a hook to replace my hand. I end up being taken to the infirmary where the people there will put it in my stump. Wouldn't you know it? There's a doctor bitch here that's going to put the hook on. I'm secured tight and put to sleep as the bitch puts the hook on. When it's all done, I get wheeled back to my cell. Problem here is that I now have a deadly weapon attached to my body and the sleep stuff wears off a little too soon. The guards don't even expect me to just turn on them after they remove the straps to put me back in my cell. With my new hook, I can easily rip out their throats. I even go back to kill the doctor bitch who put the hook on. Had to give her my thanks and appreciation, right? Long story short, I end up escaping Grafton Prison and decide to make my way back to Strickfield to even the score with that bitch judge. I know. Why, Farley? Why do you do it? Because I can! Because I will again. I end up taking an old pickup truck from the prison to Strickfield. It's nice to actually have some air conditioning for once. It doesn't last long, though. The pickup truck breaks down just a few miles from Strickfield. I have to leave it and walk the rest of the way. At least now, it's dark outside. Pretty soon, I end up coming up to a car parked off to the side of the road, underneath a street light. I can hear some music playing. I turn and look down the hill and see Strickfield. Yeah, I remember this place now. This is Strickfield Overlook. Fellas bring their bitches here to try and score some nookie. I killed many bitches up here. From a safe distance, I can hear the 2 of them talking. Definitely a boy and a girl. Sounds like they from that college on the other side of Strickfield. "I really can't believe you let me take you out tonight, Rage," the fella tells her. Yeah, definitely a wimpy mama's boy type. "It's all right," the bitch tells him. "It's good to get out sometimes, so thank you for getting me off campus for a little while." And what kind of name is Rage? Sounds like she's always pissed off or something. I'm guessing she's a plain Jane. "Listen, I hope you don't mind that I brought you up here," the fella says. "I've always admired the view from Strickfield from up here. I'm from here, you know." "Nothing wrong with that, Franklin," Rage tells him. "I'm from North Ridgeway, which is on the other side of the state." The 2 of them talk about why they came to college and all that stupid shit. I can feel the anticipation mounting up. You just know I want that panty dropper all to myself, but it's been so long I think I'll kill the milksop too. Then Rage gets out of the car and looks up at the night sky. The milksop gets out too. Yeah, he's definitely a milksop. He's one of them nerdy types, skinny, polo shirt, trousers, loafers, and glasses. Only he don't have the tape around the middle of his glasses like some wimps I used to know around these parts. And who does this wimp think he is? That bitch looks way too good for someone like him. She looks like one of those girls you see in the nudie mags that the inmates back at Grafton would pass around. Such an angelic face and nice chassis. She's even got some nice big milk jugs to go with that chassis. She should be with a real fella, not this milksop of a mama's boy. Oh well, it'll all be the same to me when I kill them both. This Franklin comes over to Rage, and the 2 of them start talking again. You okay, Rage? He asks. Yeah, even he ain't sure this girl would want to drop her panties for him, probably wondering if he's even gonna get any. She turns to face him. I'm fine, Franklin. It was a little scruffy in the car. It's much cooler out here. There's even a breeze. Yeah, you're right. We can roll up the windows and I can run the air conditioning, he tells her. She makes herself smile. But then we couldn't see this nice view that you wanted me to see. And besides, it's not like we can't. And then she actually steps up to the milksop and starts kissing him. Next thing you know, the two of them are both swapping spit and wrapping their arms around one another. I'll kill him, but first I want to see if the milksop can get the milk jugs nice and naked. Eventually, the two of them go to the front of the car. He lifts her up so that her perfect behind is on the hood. Then their kissing becomes more hot and heavy. I just don't get it. Why would a nice-looking bitch like that go for a milksop like him? And then the romantic music is interrupted by a news bulletin. The two of them stop their kissing to listen to it.
This is a breaking news bulletin from the Strickfield University newsroom here at WSTR Radio. Convicted murderer Farley McFain has escaped from Grafton Prison. If you see him, do not approach him under any circumstance. He is easily to identify by the hook he wears as his right hand, which was amputated in a skirmish with a police officer 20 years ago. If you see him, you should immediately inform your local authorities.
From there, the radio guy keeps rattling on about how dangerous I am, and that much he got right. Rage tells her milksop that perhaps they'd best head back into town. You just never know, Franklin. Franklin the milksop isn't so convinced. But Rage, why would McFain climb all the way up here? That would be pointless. Rage doesn't hesitate and sounds deadly serious now. You'd be surprised at what serial killers like McFain are capable of, Franklin. She takes his hand now. Please. We can still continue our date. I'd rather we just head back into town. Okay, Rage, you win. He helps her down off the hood. The two of them get back into his car. Now's the time to strike. I move from the bushes to go get to the car. As I reach it, I'm about to use my hook to pull open the passenger door and grab the bitch. Oh shit, I hear the milksop cry out. No doubt he heard me at his bitch's door. Before I realize it, the milksop quickly stomps on the gas and the car speeds away. Suddenly, I'm in a lot of pain as the hook had been ripped clean away from me. Stupid. The milksop had the motor running all that time. My mind was too much on the bitch that I ain't thinking straight. I have to get my shirt off fast. It's a little hard to do that with only one hand, but I managed to get the shirt tied around enough to stop the bleeding. Just then, another car stops close by. A fella gets out and asks me if I'm okay. Then, he recognizes me. Oh my God, you're Farley McFain. You're the guy who escaped from... Yeah! His mistake was yapping when he should have been running. He falls on the ground after I use my teeth to rip his throat out. Then I take his car and speed away to follow that couple who got my hook. It takes me a little bit, but I finally find them. They pulled up to a hot dog place, one that still does it, the old-fashioned way, with those young bitches on wheels who come to your window to take your order, bring your food. Then Rage decides to get out of the car. Maybe she decided to stretch her legs. Then she sees her door and quickly calls her milksop over. The wimp flips out when he sees my hook hanging on the passenger door handle with some of my blood smeared all the way back to the bumper. Then one of those roller bitches sees it and wheels inside, probably to call the police. I have to get away. Now you made it personal, Rage. I know you go to college here. I'll find you and wait for you. It takes long enough, but the bitch finally returns to her building. I'm waiting for her in her bathroom. When she least expects it, I'll come out and grab her and bite her goddamn throat out. Then I'll work on getting the bitch judge who sent me to prison 20 years ago. I'll wait and wait, but she never comes into the bathroom. You'd think she'd have to come in to drop her panties and sit. She never even turns on her lights. Suddenly, a hand reaches inside the shower and grabs me. I'm yanked out of the shower, and then someone pops me right in the face. As I stagger, I get turned around, then I feel arms wrap around my head. Everything's going dark as I'm being taken to the floor. As soon as I'm on my ass, it ain't long before everything finally goes black. When I wake up, I find I can't move. I know I'm propped up on something with my arms and legs tied with plastic ties. Suddenly the lights come on. I find myself looking right at that rage girl. "Hello, Farley McFlane," she says, all nice and calm. "I'm glad we could finally meet. Unfortunately for you, this will be your only meeting with me. It was one thing for you to break out of prison, but you should never have returned to Strickfield. But don't worry, I won't be returning you to Grafton Prison." She gives me this look that, I can't believe I'm saying this, the bitch is actually scaring me now. "You belong to me now, Farley McFane." She's even changed her clothes. She has a pair of jeans on and a long shirt. Over top of that, she's wearing what looks like a shiny black apron. She turns and flips on some lights. Now I know where I am. "This is my barn, you big-titted bitch!" I yell. "Yes, it is," she says. "Why don't you look around some more? You might as well take in everything, since this barn will soon become your tomb." There are pictures of me all over the place, all of them with me actually caught in the act of killing many bitches. The ones that surprised me most are the ones the security cameras at Grafton Prison caught me killing the guards and the doctor as I escaped from there. "You've killed a great many women, Farley McFane, all without a single amount of remorse," she tells me. "Under normal circumstances, I should have the police come and take you away." She shakes her head slowly. "But you would just return to Grafton Prison and still feel no remorse whatsoever. No, tonight, you will truly pay for your sins." I laugh now. "Oh, you're gonna kill me? You? A bitch?" She's still so damn calm when she speaks. "No, Farley McFane. An angel. I'm known as the Angel of Death. Like you, I'm also a serial killer. But I learned to prey on people like you, the corrupt, who simply have no remorse for anything that they do in regards to innocence. And now, the name Farley McFane will be next and forever in the hundreds who have come before you. Thanks to my photographic memory." I sneer and just look at her. "I read about you. Yeah, you can't be no angel of death. You're just a panty dropper." She raises her finger. "And that was your fatal mistake. Now you belong to me, and you will answer for what you've done." I laugh a little. "I suppose you're gonna have yourself a good old time, ain't you?" She shakes her head a little. "The only pleasure I'll obtain will be to satisfy my ever-insistent bloodlust, since I myself feel no emotion. I fail to understand how so many of you have emotions and can bring harm to innocence without the slightest bit of remorse." Now she's pissed me off. You don't have feelings? Are you fucking shitting all over me right now?" Now I bellowed to her. "Then why, bitch? Why do you even do this?" "Why?" She pauses. "Because Mama always taught me to be a good girl." She reaches over to a table with a lot of sharp objects on it, but the one I notice is my hook. She picks it up, then she shows it to me. It looks like it's a little different than I remember it. "I made a few modifications to your hook, Farley McFane," she tells me. She looks at me a little bit longer. Even I hate to admit that her stare scares the living shit out of me. I try and keep myself together, but she knows I'm scared now. Oh, Jesus Christ, she knows. She raises the hook using the handle she welded onto it. And now, Farley McFain, let the punishment fit the crime. The hook burns when it goes across my throat. God damn, that tip is really sharp. I don't have much time to think about it as I'm bleeding out fast. The last thing I see is that angel of death bitch. Like she said, she ain't smiling over what she's done to me. Doesn't really matter now. Because for me, this is it. This is the end. Oh, not only was that very juicy for a multitude of reasons, but I always enjoy getting a good character to get to lean into. I really got to lean into some of my family history in Kentucky with that one. And I want to say also, hey man, if Rob Fields writes a story and it takes place in Strickfield, he's creating his own universe, his own fiction world. And if you're a bad guy in Strickfield, you never know if your number might be up with the Angel of Death. Loved it. Thank you, Rob, for the excellent story, and thank you guys for listening, and especially thank you to those who are supporting us on Patreon. I want to take a second to give a shout out to all of our podcast boosters at Patreon. You can find out more about our Patreon at weeklyspooky.com. I want to thank Jeff Hilton. He's our brand new podcast booster. Jeff, welcome. I want to thank I Am Mr. Cheeseball, Jerry Roth, Jason Limberg, Karen Wiemet, Jack Kerr, Craig Cohen, Rob Fields, and Kevin Fry. Thank you guys for helping the show keep on keeping on. And I think it's really cool that Rob is kind of creating, his own fiction universe in many of the editions of Weekly Spooky. So I look forward to seeing what he comes up with next. Speaking of what we come up with next, there is a really cool big surprise coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled, which is a horrific saying. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears open, and you'll find out more in the coming weeks. Also, please go to weeklyspooky.com. Not only can you support us on Patreon, but you can support us by just sharing the show with a friend. You can support us by subscribing on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. You can support us by buying a t-shirt. But really, just listening means the world to me. So for myself, for my producer Dan Wilder, for our wonderful composer Ray Madison, for all the lovely authors that contribute to the show, thank you so much. We'll be back next Wednesday with another piece of spooky, and until then, I will talk at you later.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you're safe. Trust me.